Kia ora, it's whānau no mai, haere mai. Welcome to another Facebook Live with Tea with Kapu Tī. And today we are with none other than Hiria Faofua from Kids Korowai. So kia ora, Hiria.
Kia ora.
Kei te pēhia koe.
Pai ana I tēnei pō, pai ana.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. I'm really looking forward to this. Our first wahine on the show.
I'm so
going to bring a whole different perspective to business for us, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. Or we'll just talk girl talk for 30 minutes. What eggs?
So now, look, tell us, you founded Kids Korowai. But I know that you've come from a big family, and I'm really interested in knowing a little bit more about who you are and who your family is and what it was like for you growing up.
Yeah, so I've got 7 siblings. Most people know that I've got 3 younger sisters, but I've actually got 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. So I'm number 5 of 8. And my mum and dad are absolute frickin' legends. So I think one of the other, I think it was Pat that said, if you haven't told your mum or your dad today, got to love our mums and dads. And they're the things that my parents have done and sacrificed and experienced and what they've taught us to pass on to our children. So between the 8 children, we've got 21 grandchildren, or I've got my 3 daughters plus my nieces and nephews, and they are all absolutely special and dear to us. Yeah.
That's crazy. So 8 of you and 21 grandchildren. I bet your parents are really proud.
Oh, that's just normal. So we've got really humble upbringings. Obviously having that many children, mum stayed at home and looked after us right up until we were at high school, and then she started working. But even then, when we were younger, like mum and dad were karaoke operators, so we grew up with like 8 TV screens in our house and we can all sing. But like really humble beginnings, but great memories. And so there are like, my dad can make lewana bread, fried bread, and takako, and we would have hot Milos. We would have pinu pinu. So I don't know if anyone else knows what that is, but it's like bread with hot water and milk and a little bit of sugar, or else it's the Huntley Palmer crackers, and you just break it up. And so, or else it was Wheat Bix and peaches, but we loved it. And Dad makes the best boil up. All of those meals are just so dear to us. We have sops, which is like fried eggs, a whole thing of butter and tomatoes, and we just dip fresh bread, and like out of one frying pan, we're all eating. But we love it, and those are the memories that we've created. Like I shared my bedroom with my 3 younger sisters right up until I met my husband my last year of high school. But that's why we're still so close now, and we're so gay for each other. Like we literally all live in each other's pockets all the time. So yeah, we're such a close family. We're such a close-knit family, and we've passed that on to our children as well. Like even though they're all first cousins, it's like they all treat each other like their siblings. And so that's how we were raised, and that's how we raise our kids. And so Kids Korowai was kind of founded around that whole belief as well, that literally everything is for the kids, mā te aroha o ngā tamariki, like just give everything to the kids. Mum and Dad were SIFs caregivers for about 15 years. And so we would have different kids come in and just have absolute crap starts in life. And that made us even more we're just lucky to grow up with Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad don't drink. Mum and Dad don't smoke. Mum and Dad don't swear. Oh, Mum busts out a swear word every now and then now. But we grew up just humble Mormon family, and singing and playing basketball, and that was our life. And obviously that was hard. We were really, 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 really good at basketball, and so with having that many kids making rep teams and national teams and things like that, that became hard for us to choose who was going to go to Australia, or who was going to go to Hawaii, or who was going to go to certain tournaments to represent. And so we pretty much all started working, me and my younger sisters, 12, 13, 14, running Corbyn's basketball stadium, floor controlling, doing the bench. And Mum and Dad had the stadium keys. So that was another reason how we were able to develop our basketball game so quickly was we'd clean up, we'd go and pick up all the water bottles and the Powerade bottles and sweep the courts and everything. And then we would get about half an hour or 45 minutes worth of like one-on-one time with Dad, doing free throw shooting or just perfecting things. So we would stay at the gym till about 10:30 at night every night. So literally we were doing 3 nights worth of reffing, and then we were training on other nights, and then we'd play prems on Friday nights, and then we'd have competitions on Saturday. So I think Sunday was our only down day. And we used to go to church. So that was our upbringing coming up.
And that's pretty cool. And you used to do a lot of work with your dad too, didn't you? So tell us a bit about those, helping him out and all the businesses and the jobs and stuff that he did, and things that taught you that you now take into business.
Yeah, so my dad's done everything. Just, not typical Māori dad, but just typical Māori dad. My dad can do everything. He's a mechanic. He's a taxi driver. He's a bus driver. He's a truck driver. Currently, my dad is 73, and if he's not working, it drives us all nuts. So when we were in lockdown, it was just like he was climbing the roof. He had the ladder out, and he was trying to climb the roof to fix a leaky something. And I was like, Dad, it's raining. It's not leaking. It's raining. So he works as a kaumātua with the Auckland DHB, and he's on a few different runanga takiwa as well. So he feels like he has purpose every day to go out and help and be a part of the community and things like that. But I think Dad used to work at nearly every single takeaway joint that you could have thought when it was just fish and chip, like Haddad's, before it was Haddad's, and Bilbo's, and Alan Pete's and Papa Toy and things like that. And then my mum would just, with my brother, she would just drive past so that my brother could see my dad working just to go to sleep. So sometimes my dad he would leave on a Friday night on his taxi shift. And that was back in the days when people used to do runners and there was no Ubers or anything like that. And now every time when I hear people go, oh yeah, I used to run away from a cab, I'm like, that could have been my dad. You're running away from my dad. And then, but he's so compassionate towards people. So sometimes he's like, oh yeah, that jacket looks really good. So he could tell if somebody was about ready to bolt it out of the cab. Just leave me your hoodie, or just leave me your watch, or something like that. And they're like, oh, really? Yeah. And he's like, if that was my kid, I'd want them to get home. Yeah. So he'd make sure that they would get home, and then he'd still be like, I'd go, Dad, can I have some money? And he's like, yeah, $10, you wash the car. So he would stay out maybe sometimes till Sunday to make sure that he's made enough on his taxi run for whatever bills that Mum and Dad had to do or whatever. And those are the things that I've grown up seeing, is my dad sacrifice everything. And he still does it today. He still does it today even for my daughters. That's just in him. And so that's what I've seen growing up. That's the work ethic, and then the giving back and being generous and saying, I need to have these things. So when people need help, I have things, or I can put my hand out and I can lend a helping hand to them. So yeah, that's Mum and Dad really.
And you've gone into business with your mum. Well, I know that you have Kids Korowai, but your mum also makes and sells poi, which you sell in Kids Korowai. Yeah. So how did all of that come about? So, obviously you're a very close family, so it makes sense for you guys to be doing some kind of business together.
Yeah. So in the beginning, we had Korowai, and in my head, I see many things, but I saw tamariki playing with rako and taiaha and poi. So I was like, okay, well, we got to make poi. And then my mum at the time was 64, coming into 65, and was looking at retiring, but she's just a busybody. So for her to retire was just not going to happen. So she started learning how to, and my 11-year-old daughter, Korero, taught her how to make poi and how to do the four-plait. And then, so I started making the korowai, Mum started making the poi, but I just had this vision that poi could go everywhere, could go more places than where korowai would go. And so we've just, well, not we, but my mum has just taken it to this other place with my support, and we can make all these different kinds of poi. And it's actually just a way for my mum to just keep her mind busy and to be creative. It's like thinking about a nana or a kuya that sits there and knits or crochets, but my mum makes poi, and that makes her happy. And every single poi that comes from either Kids Korowai or New Zealand Poi Shop is actually only just made by my mum.
Wow.
There's not anybody else at the moment that's actually helping it, but she enjoys it. So that's how that came to be. She didn't actually want to break them into two, but I knew that there would be bulk orders for schools, and I just knew that we were going to be able to have this product go all around the world, which it is. And it didn't need the help of the wings of the korowai or the feathers of the korowai. So, yeah.
That's really cool. So let's go back to, so you spent some time in Melbourne before coming back to New Zealand and starting Kids Korowai. So talk me through, your decision-making around going into business and doing this for yourself. Like, how did that come about?
So we lived in Melbourne for about 7 years, up in Craigieburn, so North Melbourne, by the airport. And the reason why we moved was my parents loved us too much. My dad would take the rubbish bin out. He would mow our lawns. And so how was my husband going to learn how to be a husband if my dad was still doing all the loving things? So we just needed to learn how to be independent with our two children, and just the economy, just New Zealand was just what I was earning at that time was just for a sales rep was pretty crap. So I had two sisters. My two older sisters were actually living in Melbourne at the time. They're like, "Oh, hey, you got to come over. You're going to smash it." And I didn't even know Melbourne. I didn't know Melbourne was that big. I didn't know Melbourne was that flat. I didn't know Melbourne was that cold. I didn't know Melbourne was that cool. I didn't know anything. I literally just trusted my gut and listened to my sisters because they wouldn't steer me wrong. And my husband was reluctant to go. He's like, "What are we going to do over there?" I said, "I don't know, but New Zealand's not giving us anything at the moment. So come on, let's go." So we went, and then I got my two daughters. We've got three daughters now, but at the time I got my two daughters settled into school. And the closest job that I found was at a caravan dealership that was just like 10 minutes from our house. And I didn't know jack. I didn't know jack about caravans, but I was like, I'll just walk in. So I beat my face and put on a really good outfit to make me feel good. So just bluff the confidence. And I walked in and I was just like, "Hi, see you guys are hiring." And I think that blew them away. Like, who the hell is this chick? Just walking in at 5:05, like, okay, give me a job. And so really the rest is history, and they became my family. And even I ended up having 3 of my sisters work in the same company as well. And I just learned so much from them. They were really giving to me of just learning body language, sales, closing, just so many different things that I never would have known now in what I'm doing. So there was so much really, really, really good learning, and just family. So it was a family business as well. And then I ended up having a really negative experience, and I was sexually assaulted by I don't want to get him in trouble, but by one of the higher guys, who I saw as a father figure to me, because they had just done so much for me and my family. And there was so much growth for me within the business, but even personally, and how much that they had supported me, and they knew my kids and knew my husband and everything like that. So after that happened, I just didn't go back. I rang my sister. I was actually away on a trip, and she happened to be in that state. And I called her and I said, oh, look, this has just happened. Come and get me. So she did, and I never went back. And then I ended up, well, my husband and I had been trying to have a baby, our third daughter, because I wanted a son. Didn't happen. I got three girls. So, and then I'd fallen pregnant, and so I went on maternity leave, and then we had Pippin, and we brought Pippin back for her first birthday in New Zealand, because I was having a bit of a hard time. I actually had a bit of a bout of postnatal depression as well at that time, because I just felt lost. And I actually like things that make me happy. So cooking, I love cooking, exercising, my family make me happy. So all of the things that make me happy, playing basketball makes me happy, singing makes me happy, hanging out with my sisters makes me happy. And none of those things were making me happy. I think it was about 4 months after I'd had Pippin. And so I said to my husband, I was like, I'm not getting joy out of the things, So I went to the doctor and I was telling her, and she's like, oh, have you ever heard of anxiety and depression? I was just like, no. So I went and actually sought help for that. And then, we came home for Pippin when she was 1. And then I called my husband and I said, oh, I don't want to come back. So we didn't go back to Melbourne. And then it took him 4 months to transition back to New Zealand. So then when I had to think about coming back to New Zealand, and I started thinking about where was I going to work, it brought back really negative feelings towards working for somebody else again. And I actually was just like, I can't trust somebody again. And I know that's me, and I'm sure everyone's very trustworthy and things like that, but that's how I was feeling about it, re-entering the workforce, knowing that is what was happened previously. And I was just like, so I was obviously too scared. And then I started my real journey, and that woke weaving and language and what kind of resources are there for children. And so I just kind of ended up finding this tiny little gap, and then just opening up the door. But it was really out of the result of just thinking, I'm not having somebody make me feel like shit. Yeah. After having invested my whole everything, I'm not going to put myself in that position ever again. I have a vision for what I want to provide for my family, and I've just got to pick up my balls and and give it a go, because hey, what could be the worst thing? Yeah. That's and cool. My husband supported that, so he was like, oh, okay, well, and at first it was a bit of a hobby / okay, yeah, cool, honey, yep, you find you and you do you, and yeah, you'll be right. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's pretty much a combination of all of that experience, all my university studying and everything like that, and then having to face the challenge of, do I go somewhere and give them my everything, and then they get to make me feel lesser than what I know that my worth is? Yeah, nah. I'd rather just try and figure this out. And so that's kind of how this pathway's really, when I look back on it, that's why I'm not going to feel lesser than ever again. I'm not going to have somebody put me in that position, because that was absolutely crap. Yeah. Well, good on you. Like, it's so incredibly brave of you. And, I'm sure you're not the only person who's felt like that, but good on you for, saying, actually, I'm just going to do this for myself, and that you value yourself. That's so
we need to do that more often, I think, just really believe in ourselves and know our worth and go, actually, I don't need to put up with that, and I'm not going to put up with that.
But hope, and if anyone has had that, or if that happens, hopefully you have the support system to get you out of that. I was lucky to call my sister, and she just dropped at the top. She just came, no questions asked, not who, why, who, what, where, what, and I was able to tell my husband, and obviously he wanted to do something about that. So
I bet.
Oh yeah. So yeah, if that's happening, hopefully that you have the support system to make you feel like, okay, well, I know my worth, but do other people around me, who am I surrounding myself with to make sure that, if you were to go and ask for help, that they don't go, what are you talking about? So we need to make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with people that will always have our best interests at heart. Otherwise, something might happen to you, and then you go and tell somebody, and then they go, oh, shut up. What are you on about? So I'm lucky. I mean, that's not a great experience to have had. And and he's a pig, so whatevs. But luckily I was able to call upon people and be able to get through that with the support. But it took me a couple of years before I could tell my dad.
Yeah, I bet.
And he just went quiet, and he actually said to me when I did finally tell him, he goes, I wondered why you had left. I'd always wondered that, daughter. And I said, oh, yeah, well, it's taken me a long time to just get to a place to tell you, Dad. He's like, oh, I'm glad you that we've had this discussion. And so, so me and my mum and my dad were all really, really close. And sometimes, like, you've just got to be in a place where you can share things with people so that you can actually get that korero out and off your chest. Because sometimes people are going to react to it, and they want to be reactive and supportive. But sometimes you just need for people to just be there for you so you can deal with that. Yeah.
It's really good that your family is so close and that you had them around you to be able to support you through that, what would have been a very tough time. And then just that life-changing, okay, I'm just leaving now. I'm not even going to go back. And now actually I'm going back to New Zealand. Sorry, but can you just come home now? Because that's what I'm doing.
Oh, it's all in the history books now. But I suppose, one day if my daughters actually watch this, they'll be like, oh, is that what happened, Mum? So, obviously my daughters don't know. But, pretty much everybody else that needed to know knew that. And they were happy that I just was like, that I'm not going to tolerate that. It's not. So, but sometimes it's not easy for somebody to just go, oh, that's not right. And then react. And I know that, that's not the case, but luckily for me, I was able to just go, oh, cut, money, we need money for things and all that kind of stuff. But, if I was to let somebody put me in that position and then go, oh yeah, okay, then where would that go? There is another job and there is another opportunity. So sometimes when people are in compromising situations where it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't leave this job because I need money because I've got the house and I've got the bills and I've got the kids and, and that weighs heavy on their heart that they've got to provide. And they are put in a compromising situation and then they don't have the support like I did. So, like I said, I'm lucky that I was able to react instantly and say, I'm not going to tolerate that, even if I've got to lose my job.
Yeah. Good on you.
So, So we all live and we all learn, and it's how we bounce back and figure out. But, you have to really know, just trust your gut and know your worth. Even when people just go, yeah, whatever. You're dreaming, heads. Just if you know and you feel it in your bones and you feel it in your gut and you're just like, nah, I don't care. You just make that. You turn it. You dream it and then you plan for it and then you make the goals like Wendy said and you make it happen and you bring it to life and then people go, oh, is that what you were talking about? And you're like, yeah, I was trying to tell you.
Isn't it funny when you're like, because you're a bit like me, like, you've got all of these ideas and you've got these visions and you just have this really good intuition and you just know what do you want it to look like. And
Yeah.
then but it's just trying to get everybody else to see that vision and to buy into it and then to play along.
You guys need to come and live in Windy and Hiria land. Like, we can see it, we can taste it. We can literally put our hands out and like nearly just pull it out, and it's like it's right there for us. That's the land we live in.
Touching their heads at us, like, what are you talking about? What land do you live on? And it's like, just trust
just
me.
give me some time, And then that's the other part, Wendy. It's just like just grinding away at it and making it come to life. Instead of just going like a genie. It's like, no. There's steps involved and timing and all that kind of stuff. Just that perseverance to allow that to come to life.
Yeah.
That planting the seed and going, okay, well, we're not going to harvest until like 12 months later or even 5 years later. But nurturing it, and it's all growing underneath the surface. And people are like, what are you on about? What are you guys on about? And you're like, no, just every day consistency. Water it. It's going to take X amount of months or days or years or whatever, but consistency to just nurture that thing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it just goes bang, and then everyone's like, why didn't you just say that? It's like, I did. You couldn't imagine what I was talking about. So yeah.
I understand. I completely understand. I have many of these conversations with my husband.
Yeah, and they go, all right, yep. And then, but they know, they just say, oh yeah, they're going to go and do it. Yep. Okay. Well,
yeah, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah. And then you come back and like, I did it, and they're like, good on you. And it's not even the big. It's not the big things. It's just those little tiny ones. You're like, oh my gosh, it connected. And then like I like, like it's that part that you're actually really, really like you're super excited about. It's not about what everyone else saw. It's like, I finally, and you're like, okay, all right.
Yep, all is good with the world.
Nobody else needed to see that the light in the room that nobody goes into. That light finally went on. I finally was like, oh yeah, playing with all these buttons. Oh look, I finally got that light. Yay, okay.
It's like, okay, that's one. On to the next.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's it like being in business, running a household, 3 children, so 3 kids and a business, and I know that there have been times that the kids have come and worked in the shop with you too.
Yeah. Nah, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. COVID has not. Oh well, COVID's helped. My family are so patient. My family is so patient, and I mean that my husband and my children are super patient, and then my extended family being my sisters and everything. So I moved out of home in between the 2 lockdowns. So in the first lockdown, I was still living with mum and dad, and I knew that my sisters were actually coming back from Australia. So I kind of made way so that they could come home. So I think my niece is coming back in about 2 weeks, which actually makes it 21 people living under one roof. Yeah.
That's
but we wouldn't have it any other way. We actually need like a full-on like marae for all of our family. We actually do.
Ali's just commented, he says, you have a great husband. I don't know if he's talking about you or me, but maybe the both of us.
Oh, I think it's a Samoan quality. That's just humble, patient kind of.
These feisty Māori women that they marry.
Oh, that's a whole nother bloody korero, that thing.
That's not a cup of tea. Maybe that's a vodka after hours.
To get back to the whole business philosophy is, I've married a Samoan, and my daughters live in limbo. And so it's trying to get them to feel for themselves, not to everybody else, for them to feel a way to be connected to their culture in a way that feels comfortable to them. And so a lot of the brands that I house are all small business owned, all Māori Pacific, exactly the same as me. You know, they had a dream and then they made it a reality, and their kaupapa for it, they're driven to provide something that's for their children, their family. And again, the two COVIDs have really highlighted the fact of how amazing just New Zealanders are, how resilient Māori and Pacific businesses have become, because it's just like we don't know any other way.
Yeah.
We don't know any other way, but like it has to work. You know, we have to put food on the table. There's a billion mouths to feed, especially in my family. You know, there's a million mouths to feed. So how do we do that? And so when you take all of those things away, some people sit there and cry, and that's fine. But get over yourself and figure it out. And definitely in the first lockdown, oh man, I think everybody didn't know what to do, because the government wasn't sure what we could do as in businesses being able to operate. You know, like everything was so new. So I was like, oh, okay, well, we're going to let people do this and we're going to let businesses do that. And so you just had to wait for literally every single breadcrumb and then go, oh, how do I? While still trying to be in your feelings about being trapped up in your house and trying to run your business, while Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays are all rolling into one. Kids, their routine just goes out the window. Day is night and night is day. And it was just, and then I think I remember it was, we had Mother's Day. And I was just like, okay, what stock have I got? But I had no boxes. I had no way to ship anything. So I had to learn how to get the courier guy to come and pick it up. So I think Pat summed it up. He's like, oh, you know, people just go, oh, yeah, pivot. I'm like, yeah, it sounds easy to do. That's what I was thinking in my head. Oh, yeah, Ross, pivot. You know, it wasn't easy to do. You've got to sit there and just like Google every single, you know, what courier guy is just picking up in this area and what time is he coming through, and do I need to set up an account, and is that customer service place even answering calls to set up a new account, and have I set up, you know, and then, oh, do I have sticky labels? No, I don't. Do I have boxes? No, I don't. Do I have this? No, I don't. And you couldn't even just walk out the room and go, oh yeah, I'll just go get me some more wool, or I'll just go, you know, those things, those luxuries were taken away from you, and you just had to learn how to make it work. So when round 2 came around, I'd asked myself in the first lockdown, if this ever happened again, not that I wanted it to, but if this ever happened again, how are you going to qualify to be a business that can still be a business and run online and click and collect and all the other things that we were told in the first instance? Hiria, what, you know, so I asked myself that in the first lockdown.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. What are you not, you know, what value can you add to families that are stuck at home right now? How can you help mums? How can you help kids? How can you help, you know? So that was the question. I was like, okay. And then, you know, typical heats. Oh, yeah, kids need undies. So you're going to do undies. So, yeah, so just letting you know we're doing undies, Kids Korowai undies. And, oh, yeah, kids need socks. You know, what do kids need? Because it's always about our kids. Yeah, kids need socks. They don't wear them. They go mismatching all the time. But, you know, we still go. So what were the things? I love Kmart. But what were the things that we go to Kmart for that I can now provide families, because they want to support local and they want to support Māori. So what things can I add to my kite and save them going to Kmart? So, and I feel even for me, I'm being a more conscious shopper. So I literally buy all of my clothes with New Zealand or Māori brands, like everything that I buy, other than some food that I get from the supermarket, but even some things I still buy online. I don't think I buy shoes yet, because I'm yet to find a shoe place. where I can get shoes from for my family. But lots and lots and lots of our habits have changed from the first COVID to support, because I feel like I got supported like massively. So I thought, okay, well, how do I return the favor? And then when I actually consciously started looking around, and then thanks to all these New Zealand platforms and Facebook pages and stuff, it made it easier to find other businesses that were just like putting their hand up. So that was the other thing that I felt, was people that decided to go, I'm here. I was like, yeah, cool, I'll shop from you, because you're going to say I'm here.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that everyone needed to go. I was like, yeah, over here, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here. You know, pick me. So I was like, yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, I need that. I need that in my life. So I'm not going to go to the warehouse. Okay, I need that in my life. Okay, I'm not going to go to here, and I'm not going to go to there. So there's been a lot of changeovers, but, you know, happily, absolutely happily now. And I actually wear all of those things with pride, because I know where they've come from, and I know where that money is going. And I don't know them personally, but like, I know their first name, their last name, and their kids' names, and follow them on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And it just means so much more.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if we can spend $1 and it can help another family, then that's awesome. And I think you're right. New Zealanders are seeing that and doing a lot more of that. And you've seen that with, you know, as the Buy New Zealand Made, which is now the choice on Facebook.
That's
and,
so
you know,
awesome.
it's got a platform, you know, it's just opening up opportunities.
As much as we can, and I know like there's still things because of manufacturing and stuff like that, you know, like we need jars, and there's some things that we still need for the time being. But if the borders have to shut down and we have to become self-sufficient, I think we're doing a pretty good job at having a practice run.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think everyone's doing a really good job. So yeah, well done, New Zealand. We're doing good.
We are pretty much over time, but I've just got one quick question. So if you look back on your journey so far, what's like the one thing that you want other people to learn from your journey?
Just do it. Just do it. You've been thinking about it. I'm talking to you. You've been thinking about this for ages. This is the best time to be a tutu. Yeah. What's the risk? Even if it starts as a tiny seed and it's just a hobby, it does, I'm not like, I should be like, yeah, turn it into a business, because that's the kind of person that I am. But even for your heart and for your soul, like, just do it as a hobby. It'll make you happy, and you'll be putting that out into the world. And you've been thinking about it since probably a whole decade, I bet. There are things that we're just made to do. So if you just decide to do it, that's the best thing. And then just don't stop. You can have like a pause button or something like that, and then just don't stop. Just keep nurturing that seed. Yeah, that's
cool. Awesome, Hiria. Thank you so much for talking with me tonight at Kapu Tī with me. And we've got shower cups. So I got my cups just out of the first lockdown, me here, which
like
is
like a boss. Yeah. And mine's Carl, because I just want to cut everybody off when they're talking to me and I'm drinking out of this cup. I'm like,
Carl.
Carl, which means no. So I have actually got mare kura downstairs, and I think mare kura I use in the weekends when I'm feeling more like, easy breezy, but this is my work cup. And I'm just like, cut, leave me alone. So yeah, so cheers.
That's cool. And so you can also get the Otearoa earrings, and we are to Hayley.
Oh, we're so biased, but they're so beautiful.
I think next week or the week after.
She doesn't even pay us to say this. We just love it. And we love her.
So kidskorowai.co.nz. You can pop along to her website. Also, make sure you follow her on Instagram, because you're just crack ups on Instagram. I like watching your Instagram stuff. And then I also think, oh my gosh, I need to buy that. Stop looking at Hiria's Instagram, because I've got to buy stuff.
Sorry,
I was just saying, every time I look at your Instagram, I'm like, oh, I want to buy that. Stop looking at the Instagram. But yes, so check Hiria out. on Instagram and in a
There's
website.
either something for you to buy or something for you to laugh at. I was going
And
to
well,
make sure.
Yeah, and it's Father's Day this weekend too. So if you haven't got that special man, dad.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Happy Father's
Absolutely.
Day. You guys deserve it. You lasted 2 lockdowns. That's literally my Bible for 2020 Father's Day. All the fathers, they got through 2 lockdowns. So you guys deserve it this year. I hope you guys get treated really, really lovely, nicely.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, I hope you get it.
That's cool. So look, tomorrow I am interviewing Sione Faumuina, who is from Athlete Empire. You probably know him as ex-league player as well. So that's who I am interviewing tomorrow. So catch me live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for Kapu Tī with WE. And thank you again, Hiria, for being with us. Right,
Oh,
matua.